Hey guys, Big Daddy Liberty coming to you just outside the main hall where the IFP conference is well underway and perhaps even towards the end. And this conference has been an important one, a momentous one, insofar as a changing of the guard, of course, from their long-standing leader, Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, who was at the helm, for 44 years, to the new leader, Velenkosini Hlabisa. Now, this is a man who takes over a party which is somewhat rebounding. It's coming back from what has been, in the last 10 years, a bit of a slump that the IFP went through. The question, though, that I think a lot of people will have is, can the IFP become or reassert itself as a major political contender and not just a smaller opposition party? It does govern a lot of municipalities here in KZN, and at least I've been hearing relatively good reports around how these municipalities are doing, which is ironic because some of them are under administration, but they seem to attribute that to politics from the ANC-run KZN and not necessarily their inability to run municipalities. But be that as it may be, the politicians are having their say right now in the back, and I'll bring you visuals, of course, as I probably talk, of the politicians at the stage and the various mayors coming on and talking. But really, what I'm here to do is have a conversation with ordinary IFP members, the rank and file. And the questions are really this: who are the IFP? What do they stand for? And where do they stand on the issue of liberty? Because these are questions I think that we need to be able to have a frank conversation to if we're going to change the course of the country away from the current dominant ideas of statism and socialism. Are the IFP socialist? Do they believe in communism, or are they more towards a market economy and a society which accords freedoms to everybody? What do they think about the Ngonyama Trust, for example? These are questions that I'm going to be posing here at the IFP Congress to ordinary members as I see them streaming in and out. Welcome to the Big Liberty Show. Let's get that conversation going. I'm joined by three, I think, IFP youth brigade members, maybe, because they look very youthful. Guys, welcome to the show. A lot of people wonder who the IFP is and what it's like to live under an IFP area. So let me maybe begin there. Do you guys live under IFP municipalities?
Yes. Like myself, I'm from IFP municipalities, which is located in Nkandla. Yeah, it is led by IFP. So, yeah.
And what is life like under the IFP?
To be within IFP Youth Brigade and IFP jurisdiction. Yeah. It's a very good thing, and it has many aims, and it's only organization that can manage now to uplift the country.
We were listening to your mayor talking there, and I was actually quite impressed with some of the programs that he says he's been rolling out, including the youth desk or the youth office with a budget of about 2 million rand. But the one thing I was really, really impressed by is that he mentioned that the way he saw it, the role of government is to empower people for them to do things on their own. In fact, I think he said they've got a program called To Be Self-Sufficient or something like that. Let me ask a question about that. What do you believe? Do you believe that government must control everything? It must be the decider of all things? Or do you believe families and individuals, people like you, must have the freedom to decide what they need and what they don't need?
As we know that, I remember in Nkandla there is this thing that's called public participation that is run by IDP practitioners. It's a very good thing because it makes us feel the ownership of those projects that are happening within our place. So yeah, I can say I can be happy if we get chance. Power is being decentralized. Everyone get an opportunity to take decisions. Yeah.
Awesome. I mean, that's very rare. And this will be my final question, and I'll direct it to you, ladies. I can see you're ready to go. This is my final question because it's an important one in terms of the youth of this country. When you talk about the youth of South Africa, the mental image is Tombe that people have in their mind is of young people burning the streets. Fees must fall, that sort of thing. Tell me about the IFP Youth Brigade. How would you describe yourselves? What makes the IFP Youth Brigade? What is there a difference between you guys and the ANC? If so, what is that difference?
First of all, as a IFP Youth Brigade, we want to, because most people in South Africa, they usually have that mentality that IFP is only for old people and no young people should be members of IFP. Yeah. So as the youth, we want to show everyone that IFP, they also have people who are young.
Final question. Sorry, I know I said the last one, but this is the important one because, again, when we talk about the IFP, a lot of people think, no, ni violent, you guys, nje, if we were to give you the power to rule, it would be like Bosnia or Yugoslavia here. Yeah. Guys, are you violent people?
No, obviously.
No.
Should I be afraid, or are you going to hack me to death?
No, we're so welcoming.
Quick question. Sorry. I hate to cut you off, but I'm sure my viewers are wondering this. They're wondering. You guys say you're not violent, okay? Which I accept because I've been here. It's totally relaxed. Yeah. But is there a culture of free speech in your party? Are you able to disagree with the leader if you think something is wrong? Is there that culture of free speech, or is it a bit still dicey? Well, not still, but is it dicey?
I don't know, or I've said maybe in Kandla we have moved from traditional culture to bureaucratic because now we are the one who present programs.
Oh wow!
So we, like myself, I have a budget of 2 million.
Yes.
And I have my own program that I go with them to leadership and propose that I wish to do this and this, and then most of the time we agree to each other, and then I do my program. So. In my side, yes.
But I'm actually joined by the new youth chairperson of the IFP, Mangosuthu Buthelezi. Mangosuthu, thank you so much for joining me. I'm sure you are flustered at the idea of now having to lead a political party or its youth brigade. But tell me a bit about yourself, and firstly, congratulations.
Thank you very much, Big Daddy, and greetings to your viewers. It's a very challenging position that one has inherited from Comrade Umkhuleko Hlengwa, which he has held over the years with distinction, and we must commend him for the great work that he has done, and also has laid a very good foundation for us, because coming from when they were elected in 2011, where the NFP was at its highest peak, and actually taking members from the IFP, but he led that with a very great conscience, and also by the guidance of His Excellency, now the President Emeritus of the IFP, Inkosi Yesizwe, Umntwana wakaphinda angene, which has held his hand and assisted him in many things with the entire leadership of the IFP Youth Brigade and the leadership of the IFP as well. So I think we have done very well looking at the circumstances, and really what is left for us as the new elected leadership is to maybe grow the party from the gains that have been done throughout the elections and through 2011, all the divisions that have been identified in the party. We are also mandated as the IFP Brigade to continue to speak of unity amongst ourselves and amongst all the members of the IFP.
But I want to ask you a little bit more philosophical questions, if I may. And this comes to, maybe it helps answer the question around what do young people expect out of the IFP. So I'm going to ask you 2 or 3 questions, and bear with me. The relationship of the individual to government. What is the IFP's view and the Youth Brigade's view on government? Do you guys advocate, like other political parties, for more government intervention, more government interference, big bulky administrations, or are you on the other side of the spectrum where you actually say, no, we'd like to see more resources and more power into the hands of individuals and families? Because I've been hearing the word self-reliance float a lot in this conference. Talk to me about the vision of the party and the role of government.
Well, in all honesty, one must say that we cannot expect government to deliver for each and every individual. We can't come from a background of job seekers and continue being a future of job seekers as well. So hence the philosophy of saying that we must enforce a philosophy of saying that young people must be given assistance by government in order for them to establish themselves and be their independent young people in the country. So
maybe let me clarify. What am I hearing here? Am I hearing that you guys will be at the forefront? I mean, you're the new youth chairperson, the new leader, so to speak, of the youth element of the IFP. Will you guys be at the forefront of pushing for more pro-market, pro-business, pro-market and pro-entrepreneurship type approaches? Or should I expect, as a member of the public, to hear you guys talk about the state must control this, the state must nationalize this? Where do you guys stand on this? Because young people would want to know, are you another EFF? Are you another ANC Youth League? Or are you something different, which actually advocates for young people becoming the drivers, the owners of businesses, the owner of the economy, the entrepreneurs? Where do you stand on that?
Maybe one must first lay a background.
Yeah.
His Excellency the President, when you are speaking, the President Emeritus today, when you were speaking at the University of Zululand sometime last, I think it was the 1st of May last day on Workers' Day, just to quote something that he had said, he says, if you are a Marxist or a socialist in your 20s, then you have got a good heart.
Yes.
But if you are still a Marxist in your 30s and beyond, then you have no brains.
Well, there you go.
Now, in that
I think my viewers will be happy to hear this.
In that being said, I think you will know that the IFP believes in a free market system where business people are allowed an opportunity to operate their business, hence it influences correctly in the economy of the country. And another thing, once investors do not come into our country is going to collapse.
That's right.
And the reality of these isms of saying this is what is popular and then try to position ourselves to saying that we want to be a populist organization like the ones that you have mentioned before, we will not want to descend into that kind of arena, but to speak reality in terms of saying that young people do not just sit back and wait for government to give you things for free. Let us just pull out our socks, every one of us, let us pull our shirts and go out and work. We go to government departments to ask for assistance, for interventions, not for interference, but for interventions that will actually see young people be independent and creating other job opportunities for everyone else, and thus resulting in the growth of our economy from local, provincial and national. Exactly.
Togo, all the best of luck. Thank you so much. Good to meet you.
Thank you very much.
You will always have a friend here at the Big Liberty Show, and stay in touch with us, man. We want to see how you progress.
No, thank you.
Right. Thanks, man. Keep well.
Thanks.
Well, guys, there you have it. A very different message from someone who, is speaking a language which you often never hear, and that is one which speaks to freedom and market economies and allowing individuals and families to be the ones who make the decisions about what sort of South Africa they want to build, making young people the employers, the owners of business, etc., etc. That's the sort of society and the sort of stuff that I speak about on this show. And it's refreshing to hear a young individual in a party which we hear very little of speak to those values. Can he turn the tide or continue the turning tide in an upward trajectory for the IFP? Time will tell, but we'll be watching him. I'm going to do something which is a little bit of a departure from what I'm actually used to on this show. I'm going to bring you some snippets of what happened inside the hall, because there's some really interesting stuff. Goodbye. There's some really interesting stuff going on inside, and it really involves, a political culture which is very different. I mean, they just passed a resolution completely rejecting socialism.
Communism and socialism have destroyed many states. The USSR collapsed under these unworkable policies. Venezuela is another example. This is an absolutely wrong direction for South Africa's economy. Investors won't come when there is no policy certainty and no security of investment. No wonder we have failed to attain elusive 5% growth. We have not parted company with socialism. The economic crisis is self-inflicted. Therefore, conference resolved 4.1 that we reject socialism as a model to pursue our ideals for social and economic justice. 4.2 to warn South Africans of the dangers of socialism and show how it has not succeeded as a political and economic system throughout the world. 4.3, to reject those political organizations who are feeding South Africans a steady diet of false hope and making false promises they cannot deliver on, which is dangerous and cruel.
And that's a breath of fresh air in a country where the top parties, if you will, are deeply rooted in the ideology of socialism. Well, there you have it. A conversation being had here at the Inkatha Freedom Party conference in Ulundi, one which seemed to be very strongly rooted in the idea of freedom and liberty, and specifically a message around self-reliance and self-help. This was a common refrain you'd hear from a lot of the leadership who did speeches inside that hall. Interestingly enough, you also saw the change of guard from a leader who had been at the helm of this party for 44 years, Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, passing on, of course, to the Honorable Mr. Hlabisa. This is an interesting and once-in-a-lifetime experience, essentially. And it really does begin to speak to a change of guard from South African politics as we've known it to something relatively new. And I think anybody who is watching and wondering where the IFP is going, well, there's two distinct directions the IFP is going in. It's on an upward track, of course. And, the question therefore becomes, will the new leader take the party to new heights? These are questions that I think a lot of people are grappling with. And as people are making their way home, I'm in the parking lot and it's rapidly emptying on a Sunday afternoon. I'm left wondering whether the rhetoric that came out of the resolution, specifically the one resolution that I was interested in, the one on socialism, will this be a fight that they take into Parliament? Will this be a fight that they take into the public to begin to fight the battle of ideas around ideology? Because the IFP seems to get it. They get it. They get it that, a lot of the bad economic policy decisions that come out of the ruling party are rooted in ideology, and that ideology happens to be leftist and it happens to be socialist. I'm positively impressed, I won't lie, and one has to see what happens from here. You obviously got a chance to meet the youth leader, an impressive chap, and he's also someone who has a big burden, if I can call it that, to shoulder in terms of growing this party from a youth perspective. It was also very interesting to hear party members address the issue of the common tropes that are passed at the IFP, the idea that somehow it's Zulu nationalist or it's violent or etc., and then beginning to reject that and saying, actually, hey, we're not that, we're something different. That's a conversation I think I'll have a lot more as I begin to interview this new leadership as it sort of takes the reins, especially also as we head to the local government elections in a while. So, guys, as we wrap up, I would like to thank every single one of you for watching. This isn't necessarily going to be a long episode, but I really thank you guys for watching and supporting, and of course helping me get out to locations like these. Remember, I can only get to these locations with your support. And how do you support Big Daddy Liberty? Well, it's quite simple, as you can perhaps see on the bucket. You can SMS your name to 32823, and an SMS will cost you R1. Terms and conditions do apply. And you can donate 90 Rand a month towards the Institute of Race Relations through our Friends of the IRR campaign. Now, it's really hot out here, so let me end off by saying this. If you don't like SMSs, you can find us online at irr.org.za/join, and you can sign up a monthly debit order of 90 Rand there. Guys, thank you so much for watching this episode, as we got to chat to some IFP members around what exactly the IFP is, where the party is going, and whether this new leadership will take them in any given direction that is one of growth. This episode was a bit of a break from what I usually do, insofar as I did give you some of the leaders, but it was an important seminal moment to actually do that. You don't have a situation where you get to see the changing of guard from one leader who's been there for 4 decades to a new one. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the episode. I'll catch you guys on the next one.